afternoon, everyone. A Monday edition of On Cue coming at you live inside the friendly confines of the Sports Radio 1029 FM The Game studios. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. Get involved in the conversation. As always, you can just hashtag On Q on X on Facebook, IG, TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. Hope everyone had a wonderful sports weekend. You are enjoying your 9th of March 2026. As always, on a Monday, as we like to say, it's not only a Man Up Monday on the show, but it is a Lunes Manolo Mentioso Logador de Radio Man Up Monday. Don't forget, download the Odyssey app as well. Check out Coastal Sports Digital Network, and that's where you can find us during the week, powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. Check the show notes with the savings. So, the Monday madness that is the NFL, and it is friggin' free reign going on right now because it is the start of the calendar new year. Everyone can tamper, everyone can sign, and oh my goodness, it's been absolutely a friggin' wild free agency period, and we're only a couple hours in. So a couple of the bigger stories, the headlines, if you will, on this Monday in the NFL. Not a surprise. The Miami Dolphins cut Tua. Done. See ya. They fish bait. What a disaster. What a horrible albatross of a contract. Then they turn around and by all accounts and multiple sources, they're going to ink free agent quarterback Malik Willis. I thought maybe that would be the landing spot. We talked a little bit about that over the weekend. I'll get you the numbers. Jordan Davis breaks the bank with the Philadelphia Eagles. We saw Mike Evans going to the 49ers. The numbers that Daniel Jones gave up, we'll talk about as well. The Colts re-signing Pierce. They trading for Pittman to the Steelers. The Saints get ETN. The Giants sign a tight end. Then they also make a move in the backfield. The Walker move to Kansas City, your Super Bowl MVP going to Kansas City. I don't even know where to friggin' begin. I mean, I thought, listen, we knew that the Tua news was going to come down, right? And it was only a matter of time. Now, I'll get into it a little more, but I was a little shocked at the type of numbers that Willis was commanding on the market. And I guess that's what the market bears, right? I guess that's what the market bears at the end of the day, because it is a staggering number for a quarterback that's only had a handful of games. So we'll get into the quarterback position. And as far as in our backyard, I'll get to my Giants, the Philadelphia Eagles. We still don't know what's going to happen with A.J. Brown. And at this point, until something happens, we'll talk about it. But their first big offseason move comes over the weekend. And they signed defensive tackle Jordan Davis, 3 years, $78 million. That is a major step in basically the franchise's thought process, their mindset of not only keeping in young core talent, keeping in high-end defensive talent. I mean, listen, you have all these contracts that are expiring with the Philadelphia Eagles, right? So now, again, he kind of teased you a little bit during his first 3 seasons and then really became that disruptive, consistent force in 2025. And he was pretty diligent about the fitness, the conditioning, being all in and engaged. Now, again, to me, I look at this and I say to myself, okay, they're taking care of the guys that they believe they are going to build around, right? And you talk about a big deal. The new money is folded into a 5th-year option. So even if you look at it as a 4-year deal, he's still paid among the top 10 defensive tackles in the NFL. And the other thing, too, is, look, they lost Phillips, and that's, I'll get into that a little bit. What are they going to do with Carter? We talked a little bit about that. I'm not trading Jalen Carter, but I'm not breaking the bank with Jalen Carter. I'm just not. And when we came on the air Saturday, that's when the Crosby news came down. So now it's always about that plan A, B, and C, right? Because you had, again, you're trying to still get those 2 first-round picks, right? That's pretty much where you're at. if you're going to dang them out there, Cowboys did it for Parsons. The Raiders did it for Crosby. Okay. So we'll get into that. Kenneth Walker, I'd have to check. I don't even know the last time a Super Bowl MVP hit free agency the next season and signed with another team. I thought Larry Brown, was that a signing or a trade? I don't remember, but the Seattle Seahawks decide, look, we're going to let him walk, test to market. I think it's a smart move by Kansas City. I'm not going to dip my hand into another person's pocket. But again, you knew that Kansas City needed to go the running back route, right? And it's a 3-year deal worth $43 million, $28 million fully guaranteed. Kelsey's coming back. I don't really think at the end of the day that's a big deal, to be quite honest. So we've got so much movement going on again in the NFL. It's absolutely crazy. And I mentioned some of these players cashing in, right? Like a handful of games. Like a handful of games that we're talking about. I mean, if you're not even following what's going on. So the Browns sign Zion Johnson. That's 3 years, $49 million. That's a hell of a job by his agent, Jared Fox. Wan'Dale Robinson. I thought the Giants were going to pull the trigger and sign him because he's a steady Eddie wide receiver, a very good wide receiver. I'm sorry. I'm not giving him 4 years at 78. $38 million guaranteed. Which, again, think about it. Now you saw what the Colts are giving Pierce. And if you are Pickens right now with the Dallas Cowboys, you got to be licking your chops. Like, timing is absolutely everything. Mike Evans, he goes from Tampa. He still stays in the Bay, right? From one Bay to another, Tampa to now San Francisco. And I'll give you those numbers. Pittsburgh swinging big for Pittman Jr. Phillips, again, another player, handful of games with the Philadelphia Eagles, right? The injury history cashing in as well with Carolina. ETN, 4 years, $52 million. I mean, it's absolutely bananas what is going on right now in the NFL. The Giants sign in Isaiah Likely, then they cut the Scottish Hammer. The Bears turn around. They're telling you defensively, we're locking up. They signed Kobe Bryant. I love this move. 3 years, $40 million. I mean, it's just, this is what happens too. When you win Super Bowls, you're going to go and you're going to try to cash it. Now, the Miami news to me is interesting because we knew they were going to cut Tua and they were going to eat close to $100 million, which is just wow. But now you're bringing in Malik Willis, 3 years, 67 with $45 million guaranteed. And one of the reasons you got to believe they made this move is because he's reunited with Jeff Hafley, who was the Packers defensive coordinator from 2024, 2025. But man, I'll tell you, it's just, I see a lot of Eagles fans chiming in. That is a massive contract, not only for Davis, that is a massive contract for Phillips. I mean, that is breaking the friggin' bank. 4 years, $120, $80 million guaranteed, and a player that does have a little bit of an injury history. Just crazy day in the NFL. Absolutely crazy day. Let's open it up. 39 past 3 o'clock hour. Man chimes in with zero patience on a Monday. Let's go already. The ghost of Luca Brasi hasn't been able to, I guess, here's the thing. I guess you haven't decided to come out because we saw the little whack-a-mole with the 6 more weeks of winter. Been afraid to poke my head out of the bunker. Which do you rank higher, Q Bunker Boys or the Groundhogs? I don't know. I got to be honest. That's something I'm going to have to ponder over the next hour or so. Jovan chimes in. My guy told you Rich and Edmonds was a fit for the Giants. Yeah, you called it last week. And I like the move, by the way. Jalen Phillips getting the big. That is crazy. That is crazy. Crazy, right? The numbers that he has. Q, I know you have an extensive magazine collection. Did you see a 1983 SI draft edition with Jordan on the cover? Went for $200,000. Do you own that one? 1983 SI. Hold on. Is that when he was Tar Heels? I'd have to check. I have SIs from 78, 79, 80, 81, 82. So let's see right here. Oh, that's the one when he's number one North Carolina. I have it. I can tell you right now, though, it's not in that condition. It's not in that condition. That's Michael Jordan and Sam Perkins. I'll definitely I believe I do have that one. I see right here. It sold for 20,000 first cover rare. Wow. And I can also tell you this. Do you remember when we were kids? We used to pluck a lot of SIs from school. I'm pretty positive I had that one. I actually had someone, believe it or not, look at some of my SIs from the mid 70s to the late 70s. I had a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers, Dallas Cowboys, um, some good value in there because I kept them in pretty good shape, pristine condition. But I'll double check that one. All I care, Giants fans going to like Isaiah likely. I hope so. I hope so. I mean, listen, they let Bellinger walk. You know, they have a good tight end in Theo Johnson, but likely I saw the numbers, and I think he'll be a nice little cog, physical tight end, which is what they're looking for. Cowboys add a piece of their D line with Gary, who looked like he was going to be cut. That's, yeah, we talked about that last week as well. Yeah, they actually didn't cut him, they traded him, right? Did they not? They traded him. So Dallas was able, I thought the Packers were going to release him, but I believe they got some value back for him. Now, it's not a, I like the move. What are they sending? A 2027 fourth round pick. But to me, it's not a game changer. It's not a game changer. It's a late 2027 round draft pick. Tom and Summers point, Q, I can't believe what Phillips got. Go ahead, Carolina. But hey, how about that move for Davis? Listen, the Eagles are telling you right now that they want to lock up their core young defensive players. That's what they're telling you. That's what they're telling you. They realize they have young core players. They have young defensive players. They're going to keep developing these players, and that's why they're locking them up. You got an elite player, right? I mean, I think you know it's all about. Listen, Carter to me, if they're going to lock him up, they're going to lock him up. If they're not going to lock him up with a contract extension, then that's going to be a sneaky chip to throw in as a trade. I mean, that's really, you've got, if you look at the Philadelphia Eagles right now, they have 10 players on their defense that, if we're talking grading them out, okay? Grading them out, 9, 10, 11 million plus. You're not going to be able to afford all of them. You're not. It's a nice problem to have, but it's also, what am I going to do, right? Because now, who can you keep? Right? Which ones are going to be that 2025, 30 type of player? Well, we're already seeing one with Davis. Now, as much as everyone, and again, whatever outlet or network you listen to, let them talk 24/7 about AJ Brown, whatever. At this point, they know the future is the defensive side of the football, period. Now, I have no idea what a player like Cooper Jean is going to command or ask. Is it going to be 25, 30? Is it? Right? Now, is he worth that much if he's just a slot corner? That's a lot of money, man. It is a lot of money. Jacob chimes in. Q, I really hope this is not the case, but I wonder if there's a bit of valuation with Coop once Fangio retires, depending on the direction we go. If they shift to no longer emphasizing slot cornerback as much, you can play your slot tot money. Old man chimes in. Q, I don't know why Eagles fans are panicking about losing players with years of team control. 2 to 3 is an absolute lifetime in the NFL because you're seeing what everyone else is doing around the NFL, and players are getting paid. Players are getting paid. Kevin C chimes in, very excited about this contract. Q, now we kind of locked up a very good linebacker. What do you think of the numbers? You're talking about Edmonds, 3 years, 36 million, 23.7 million fully guaranteed. No problem with it. Look, it's one of the reasons they released Okereke. They had Singletary restructure his contract. They cut Gillen. They let Robinson walk. The Giants have to fix the secondary. They have to fix their secondary, period. They do. Uh, What is this? So I'm looking on here. Let me see. Schefter's reporting that Evans' decision to leave Tampa was not about money. The Bucks were aggressive in their pursuit and presented what was said to be a very strong offer. It came down to a desire for a new challenge as Evans enters the last years of his career. Now, okay, can I read between the lines? Does that speak upon the current head coach and quarterback? Right? I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. Jay chimes in. Q. Now, what do you think the Steelers are going to do? Some of these quarterbacks are signing big time contracts. I'm starting to get a little worried. I don't believe you bring back Aaron Rodgers. I just, I don't. I really don't. I have no idea what they're going to do. I saw that Atlanta might be interested in Tua. Now, I have absolutely no idea. He's not going to be the starter. I don't believe Tua's going to Pittsburgh. If you're the Steelers, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Eagles played the cap increase perfect. That's exactly what they do because Howie knows exactly how to manipulate the numbers, right? A lot for a slot, but that's okay. That's I don't know if I'm going that route though, Ball. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm starting to believe now if they can get now, let me just say this. If you're the Eagles and you are offered, I know that they're in current contract talks with Jalen Carter, okay? I'm just thinking out loud here. If I'm trading for Jalen Carter, what am I giving up? What am I giving up? I think he's very talented. I think he's a lightning rod when you have these kind of conversations. And if we really break it down, Jalen Carter's heading into the final year of his rookie deal. So if not now, he's not locked up. He's going to command big dollars next offseason if he plays like an all pro. Now, let's just say a team like Chicago. If the Bears pick up the phone, they call Howie Roseman, and remember too, Ryan Poles passed on him once in the draft. They took Darnell Wright. But if Chicago calls up the Philadelphia Eagles and, or what do you want? Is it going to be definitely going to be a first round pick this year? But what are we talking about? Additional draft capital. Remember the one thing about Howie. Howie Roseman loves making trades for players, and he hardly ever makes players available via trade. He just doesn't. He just doesn't. So I think any team that's interested in a talented but question marks with the character player, that's the problem. So you're talking about a couple aspects if you're a GM of the Chicago Bears, San Francisco, the Jets, Carolina. I'm just throwing teams out there. Character issues, right? And are you an elite player? Is he an elite player? I think he's borderline elite, to be quite honest. Character issues, yeah. And I think the team like the Bears, depending upon what they would potentially have to give back, I just don't know. I just think maybe now you address tackle in other ways. And the other question is, and I know it's a tackle defensive end, but what's going to go on if we really kind of dig deeper into this? So I'm looking at Hendrickson, and he's still out there. Like he's still out there. Like if I'm a team that's got to add edge rushers, now they're not going to trade him and sign him because then you could have kept Carter and sign him. But if I'm the Bears, if I'm the Giants, if I'm Dallas, I definitely go that route. I would really consider that, to be quite honest. Like I'm just saying right now, these teams understand that defense, the defensive players years ago in the NFL, the quarterback, it's an isolated position in this aspect. the NFL quarterback, the franchise quarterback, is always going to get paid. Whether we overpay or not, they're always going to break the bank. I mean, Daniel Jones, basically, I have no idea what in the world the Indianapolis Colts were thinking with that very rare tag that they used. Daniel Jones at 38 million and then turning down 3 at 130. I mean, wow. What are you doing, Daniel Jones? Like, I got to be honest. You're not going to play to what? October, November? And I'm telling you right now, if if Daniel Jones, like the Daniel Jones, the Giant fans, you watch the Colts, you got pretty much the good and the bad, the hopeful Daniel Jones experience. Behind a very good offensive line, a great running back, he looked good. And he threw the football. And then all of a sudden, when the line was and they couldn't run the football, he made mistakes. And oh, by the way, he got hurt. So when it comes to that position, we're always going to overevaluate and overpay. But now in the NFL, we pay for what? Tackles, offensive tackles, left tackles, protect the quarterback's blind spot, defensive tackles, edge rushers, and lockdown corners. Shut down, lockdown corners. I'm telling you right now, I am absolutely. I mean, the deal that Phillips got is staggering, man. It is. It really is. I mean, right now, if you look at the money, he's top 10, top 9, top 8 paid edge rusher. Carolina's saying we got to spend, we got to break the bank, we got to fix our defense. But man, 80 million guaranteed, $120. God bless. God bless. And I don't think, look, I don't think the Eagles should be crying in their soup or their Cheerios for this, right? Because I don't think they were going to go that route. I really don't. They want to pay their edge rushers and their tackles. And they also know they got to pay the secondary. I mean, like I said, the problem, he's a talented player. And that's a great job and get by the agent. But you're talking about off injured. Now, I think the Panthers overpaid. That's just my opinion. I know there was talk that Miami maybe wanted to kind of scoop in as well. But hey, Toot Clearwater chimes in. Q, what direction do you think the Dolphins are going to go now that they signed Willis? How they build around that? It's a great question. It's a great question. I don't foresee the Dolphins being uberly competitive, right? I just don't. And I think the fact that you're bringing in an unproven quarterback that showed you a couple of glimmers, you should be cautiously optimistic, but you also had to get rid of that albatross of a contract. They still got to go back to running the football and playing defense, especially in the AFC East. Think about this too. With all this money that's being shelled out, how in the world are the Eagles going to pay Davis, Carter, Mitchell, DeJean, A.J. Brown? Right? You still got Hunt. You got Nolan Smith. Again, not a bad problem to have. Jeffrey Lurie, too, knew about the Nelson rating changes ahead of time. Lurie's smart. Mitchell will get signed, and Deshaun probably moves on. Yeah, I mean that might be your best case scenario. To be quite honest, I can't. Man, I can't pay Cooper DeJean that kind of money. I just can't. I'm sorry, I can't. All now you're going to compare. The comp is going to be to McDuffie, right? Because the Rams traded with Kansas City. McDuffie was on the final year of his rookie deal. Kansas City didn't want to expend him. Very good player, not elite, and the Rams gave him a new deal worth $31 million annually. So to me, that's kind of like a headache around the corner for the Eagles. I believe it is. And the Rams forked over a first-round pick and 3 other picks, including a future third to the Chiefs. He's an all-pro. Very good player. But again, they're looking at him to kind of bounce back and have the type of year he had a couple seasons ago. Now, I as far as DeJean, man, and oh, by the way, Mitchell, you can make the case he's one of the game's best outside corners after just 2 seasons. So he's going to be eligible for extension for the first time. And Cooper DeJean is a very good player. He's kind of like that hybrid corner like McDuffie. He can play inside, outside. He plays at a high level. He can also play against the run. He's perfect for Fangio's defense. But the fact that McDuffie got 31 and now the rate for Mitchell next season is going to be higher and the salaries go up and you got the cap. Oh, man. I just don't know if I can do that. I'm trying to think who was the other. I have to go back. Wasn't it Marlon Humphrey? What was it? 2019, 2020? 5-year extension. He was the second highest paid corner in the game behind Jalen Ramsey. I mean, these are not bad problems to have, right? But I do think it begs a question, who you pay, who you don't. Cap is going to keep going up because of the new Nielsen rating systems. Readership is very under counted. Oh, no. It's one of the reasons, right? The only thing not getting viewers is AEW. Oh, are we talking about wrestling? And the wide receiver from the Colts just popped that market. That's another thing. So if you are, like, timing is everything. And by the way, too, so think about this if you're the Eagles, okay? Think about this for a second. You're the Philadelphia Eagles, okay? And you've got A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown's sitting there. And the thought is, okay, what do we want in return for A.J. Brown? Well, just follow me now. And I know Man hates when I say that, like we're going around the room. Go and see what the Colts, as Ball just mentioned, for Pierce. What they gave him. 4 years, $116 million. Robinson breaking the bank with Tennessee. Now, Evans, what was it, 3 for 30? I got to double check with San Fran. I know it's 3 years. But I bring it up to say this. New England was going to make a push for Evans. New England was going to make a push for Pierce. I think Robinson going to Tennessee because he's reunited with Daboll makes sense. Even though they overpaid for him too. But he's a very good wide receiver. A little too small, but tough wide receiver. Concussion prone too. That's something you got to watch. But anyway, so if you're the Eagles and now New England cuts Diggs and they are kind of left standing there at the altar, well, the leverage that Howie has right now, dangling that A.J. Brown carrot, like the asking price keeps going up. Remember that great line, right? Draft day. That was yesterday's pricing, yesterday's asking price. That was 10 minutes ago. So here we go. And if you're George Pickens is salivating right now. Salivating, looking at the wide receiver market and what these guys are getting paid. So I believe with all that, if you really think about it, you can dangle A.J. Brown a little more. And if the calling card is going to be 2 first-rounders, well, you're going to do it. Eagles are going to have to draft well and find bargain bin free agents over the next few years. But they do that. They do find a way to kind of like plug and play, right? Plug and play. That's exactly what they tried to do. They've done it. They've been successful, right? Let me see. Oh, I got some Sal, Ravens fan. Baltimore Berry checking in for the first time. Ravens are idiots. Offense just became horrible. Shaking my head. I got a lot of Ravens fans that tune in. Lamar didn't resign. Ravens have no cap space. Yeah. So, and think about it. So you're talking about Lamar, right? You're talking about Derrick Henry. You've got Flowers. We talked a little bit about that. You got an aging wide receiver in Hopkins. There is some talk too, right? And the Giants just signed your other tight end. They made a move, right? The Baltimore Ravens, we talked a little bit about the pressure offensively. Now, obviously, defensively, you make the bold move for Crosby, and it's something we talked about Saturday. Is that enough defensively to stick the Ravens in the AFC Championship game? Representing the AFC. Can they now make a move and go to the Super Bowl finally in this tenure, right? This era. They broke the bank with their center, did they not? Right? I mean, that's or I'm sorry, the Raiders just broke the bank. So the Ravens lose their center, they lose a tight end, they make the move for Crosby, they give us some draft picks, and you still got Lamar Jackson sitting there along with Derrick Henry. I do believe they did make a correspondent. Did they not? Did they not sign a guard? Did they not sign Simpson? Right. So I know what you're saying. I get it. I understand. I have a lot of Baltimore Ravens fans that listen into the show, and I will say this: Lamar Jackson, okay, is an All-Pro quarterback. He's a two-time NFL MVP. I like Lamar Jackson. But I'm also going to tell you this. The fact that they trade for Max Crosby Friday night, because we talked about it on Saturday's show, and now the odds have switched a little bit, somewhat, where you'll sit there and say Seattle, Buffalo, the Ravens are 2-3 favorites next year. I think right now, to add more pressure, Jackson's going to want to get paid. I mean, there's really, unless, look, the problem is that the Raiders, how much are they going to eat a ton of Crosby's, $30 million salary? Because that means that Lamar is going to want an extension, and they don't have a lot of cap space. 9 to 11 million in cap space. So you got to get to that 30 million. It must come down from Lamar. And that's the problem. He's playing on a 5-year. Lamar Jackson's current contract, as Ravens fans know, it's 5 years, $260. He signed that in 2023. Yeah. So right now, they're kind of putting their eggs in a very precarious basket. He's a great quarterback during the regular season, but again, playoffs are a different animal. You got to show up in the postseason, and I thought they had their best shot this season because of how everything broke. And this guy, listen, right now, the move for the Ravens move for Crosby, Lamar Jackson's not playing forever. He's not. He's not. So you gotta look at interior. You got to look at line. You got to again, wide receiver. They need another weapon. So to your point and your frustration, I totally get it. They're in a very tough spot. Christian Watkins has to like what Pierce got to Packers. Were smart to sign him to a 1-year, $13 million extension in the offseason. Listen, it's all about, right? It is all about timing. I remember when I thought Deshaun Jackson getting 4 years, 40 was a lot. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what these players make right now. Got to stop plugging with guys. They got to pay. Listen, they're not. This is the NFL. And the business model in the NFL, these GMs, they know they have to pay players. They understand, as you mentioned, the revenue, the advertising, the broadcast rights, the cap going up, everything. It all goes into a pot. And that's one of the reasons they're able to break the bank. A lot of these players are getting paid on what they did past performance. And the majority of them are getting paid for what these teams believe they're going to do in the future. Now, the quarterback situation is a little different. The running back situation is a little different. You take a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, they needed to go out and get a running back. They had to. They had to. Again, dance with the devil you know, not the devil you don't know. I understand where they're at when we're talking about draft time. And there was a lot of mock drafts that had Kansas City grabbing a running back at number 9. Well, I think that changes now. Now I think they can go to defensive route. They need to clean up the secondary a little bit. They can go and get a wide receiver down the road, they can go get that kid, Denzel Boston from Washington with the 29th pick. And they got that pick from the Rams. So they'll probably go downs to safety with the 9 pick. But they addressed one glaring need, the running back position, because Pacheco wasn't getting it done, Hunt wasn't getting it done, and you can't rely on Patrick Mahomes, your franchise quarterback, coming off a major injury to be your leading rusher. So when you look at what they did, the move to make to bring in Kenneth Walker, you might sit there and say, I'm not paying Kenneth Walker 3 years, $45 million because he's an injury-prone back, and we've seen when guys get a lot of carries, and here we go. Listen, it's an upgrade to an offense that struggled to run the football. Pacheco dealt with a bunch of all these nagging injuries, okay? Nagging injuries. He missed a couple games last year, missed games in 2004. They couldn't run the football. They were averaging 3.2 yards a carry. That was 25th in the NFL in total rushing yards. That's horrible. So now you bring in, they're saying we're regrouping, we're retooling, probably got to go and get a wide receiver still, probably got to clean up a couple things on the line. And like I said, Mahomes is going to miss a month of the season, or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just got that alligator blood. Who knows? But they are trying to get back to Super Bowl contention. That's what they're trying to do. And one of their biggest steps, is getting their quarterback back healthy from a torn ACL. The second was address the ground game. Walker is a good back. He's a very good back. He had a great run for Seattle in the Super Bowl. But in my experience, I get very nervous signing running backs to big contracts. I do. I get nervous signing running backs that start to teeter in 27, 28, and I kind of see the wear and tear. But I understand exactly why the Kansas City Chiefs had to do it, because they needed to take pressure off of their quarterback. Now, Walker's 25. He's not old, but he also carried it for about 221, not including the postseason. And he averaged about 4.6. Good back. Very good back. Super Bowl MVP. Could have argued a defensive player, but whatever. But am I paying him that type of money? I get nervous when I start to pay running backs those types of dollars. I just do. Because it's the most violent position. They touch the ball a lot. There's a lot of bruising. There's a lot of banging. There's a lot of injuries. But I get why they did it. Now, I can make the same case for there's no way that ETN is a $52 million a year back, $52 million over 4 years. I don't believe he is. I really don't. I don't. And he also carried the ball about 270 times. Good back, still 27 years of age. So that's something to watch if you're New Orleans. But the Saints also understand. I think the Saints still don't believe they have a quarterback, so they want to be a run-first team. That's just what I believe. They want to be a run-first team. It's one of the reasons that they also signed a guard. ETN is a good back. Walker, good back. Am I going to say elite? Am I going to put them in the, Derrick Henry, Saquon, Robinson kind of category? I'm not. But I understand why these teams are doing it, especially teams that don't trust the quarterback, and especially teams that understand they were void of a ground game. The Giants, everyone's talking about go after Walker. Why? Singleton restructured his contract. You have Scatterboon, you have Tracy. Go running back by committee. Like some teams, you're not going to break the bank on a running back. You're not going to spend on a back. You're just not. You're going to spend on tackle, edge rusher, shutdown corner, lockdown corner. Indy Joe chimes in. Q, what were the numbers you said for Daniel Jones? So Daniel Jones apparently, let me pull up the accurate numbers, what he balked at. I don't understand why Indianapolis chose to do what they did. Daniel Jones he's got some balls on him, I'll say that. Because the contract demand is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So Daniel Jones reportedly turned down a 3-year, $100 million offer, which, if you follow the NFL, is pretty much in lockstep and barrel with who? Sam Darnold. That's what he signed with Seattle a year ago. And apparently, Jones's camp, are you ready, is asking for a deal in the range of 50 million. Now, what on freaking God's green earth in any scenario is Daniel Jones a $50 million quarterback? The fact that the Giants turned around and gave him 4 for 140, or I'm sorry, 4 for 160 is an abomination. And here's the problem. So you got a Daniel Jones, you got a quarterback that's coming off a season-ending injury, suffers his torn ACL in week 14. Oh, by the way, he's not coming back until November. So he's got all the leverage. Because they turned around, they gave him the transition tag. Oh, I mean, Daniel Jones, what is he? So charming and handsome when he smiles, he basically just, all these GMs fall in love with him. Oh my goodness, I don't know. I don't want this guy to sign with another team. I mean, oh my God. That's crazy. Daniel Jones, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame as a bag secure. I mean, he's breaking the bank. This guy is a middling, at best, average quarterback that had a cup of coffee of success with the Giants when they made the playoffs a couple of years ago and went on the road and beat Minnesota. Other than that, he's done nothing, and he's off injured. You know what the pitch is going to be from his agent, too? I can just see it right now. The pitch, or from his camp, is, look, this guy's 45, 50 million, right? And this is going to kind of be a bargain, a steal for you over the next few years because everything's going up. I mean, you can't make this up. You cannot make this up at all. Matty Ice chimes in, Q, I can't believe the Dolphins ate that money. They had to. They had to. They had to. And I'm telling you why. Because they know it is a full-blown rebuild. And you cannot start a rebuild when you had a lame duck head coach and a quarterback that just has not panned out. And that's exactly what they're doing. Now, do I believe that Tua is a starting quarterback right now in the NFL? If you compare him to some of the other ilk that's out there, by that definition, by that argument, yeah. But I'm not signing him. I'm not. Now, can he be a backup? Atlanta's interested in him, right? Maybe it's because, okay, let's compete with Penix Jr. Here we go. Compete with another fellow lefty who's also coming off an injury, right? So it kind of makes sense. You've got you've got new leadership structure. You got Matt Ryan. You've got Stefanski as as the head coach, right? So we'll see. But to your point, they backed themselves in a corner when they paid him and they gave him a contract extension. And to be fair, full transparency, I came on the air and I said you had to pay him. You had to pay him. Now, this is a post-June 1st designation. So I just want to put the numbers in perspective for you. The team can divvy up the dead cap hit. $67 million in 2026, $31 million in 2027. They still owe him $54 million in guaranteed money this coming season. Which means if he really wants to play, then the team knows, look, you're getting $54 million this season. We're going to give you a league minimum. You're going to take it or you're not going to play. Period. You're not going to have an opportunity to start. So it's a fresh start for Tua. But this is also an opportunity for Miami to basically start from scratch. Now, the other thing with Tua is he's concussion prone. 4 concussions in 5 seasons. So I'm not, listen, you're making 54 from Miami. They're paying the freight. You come in league minimum, and here we go. You have a chance to compete, and we'll see what happens. That's it. That's it. And you can see exactly what Miami's doing. Look at the moves that they made. They've got new leadership. You've got Halfley, you've got Sullivan, Packer executive right. They've cleaned house. They're kind of taking advantage of the younger players. You're cutting some of the bigger names. You cut Bradley Chubb. You cut Tyreek Hill, who's coming off that dislocated knee and torn ACL. They let go of one of their guards, James Daniels. They signed him to 3 years, $24 million, less than a year earlier. Now they say goodbye to Tua. They cut bait with the fish. And it's not surprising. It's just, once he got benched in December, you kind of knew. They really didn't have a path to getting out of this. This was we're headed towards a divorce. We're not talking. We're not sleeping in the same bed. We're not in the same room, but we're still in the same house. Now we got to figure out how to go our separate ways. Like they were peeling the Band-Aid off slow. You got to rip it off. And that's what they did. And it is a bitter pill to swallow, man, because I think now I think this move, GMs, I believe, will start to think twice before shelling out a lot of money to a quarterback if they get hit a couple times concussed. And I'll be quite honest, which I always am on the air, why this is concerning to me, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Jackson Dart, who I believe is a franchise quarterback, okay, I also believe his style of play leaves him a little more open to be concussed. Now, he's got a 4-year, fully guaranteed rookie contract, and it's cheap. It's $16.98 million, under 10, signing bonus. They're going to pay him. Now, if Jackson Dart only starts 10 games and he gets concussed once, or God forbid, twice, and he misses time, then you're going to have to start to kind of have that conversation. Do you want to turn around and you want to break the bank? And that's the problem. And that's the problem you're dealing with, because if you look at the cap hit, it's just under 4. Cash is under 2. That worries me. It really does, because I know his style of play, and he's taking some hits. Tennessee Giants, what up, all? DB, what's going on? I saw that, right? Making a splash. That's what Wan'Dale Robinson breaking the bank. How about Wan'Dale? Good receiver. And God bless him. God bless him. I mean, I think you've got Dable as the offensive coordinator. Robinson had his first 1,000-yard season in 2025. He's a good player. Giants weren't going to pay him. They just weren't. They just were not going to pay him. And I wanted them to re-sign him. But you got to look at what's going on with the wide receiver position. They're going to need another wide receiver. They are. And I think their plans, if you're the Giants, do you sit there and go, we're sitting here at number 5. Do we maybe look for a wide receiver later on? Do we go defense? I mean, there's some talk that they might draft a linebacker. Now, I thought the Giants would turn around and go wide receiver. That was just what I felt. I thought it was going to be there. The kid from Clemson. I don't know where the mock drafts have him landing. Like, we know the Raiders are going to go Mendoza. We know that. I think the Jets go with an edge rusher. I can see the Jets doing that. Arizona, you've got a quarterback, an offensive line that was really bad last season. They'll probably draft a tackle at number 3, which is not, the rarest. Tennessee, they know right now, okay, this is what we're doing. What do we have? We've got a young quarterback. Now we're adding some weapons, but what are we missing? We're missing a running back. And now that Kansas City makes the move for Kenneth Walker, it almost makes sense that Tennessee drafts Love from Notre Dame with the 4th overall pick. I mean, it's a trickle down. This is what happens, man. It is like the trickle down effect in the NFL. when all these players start to sign and you got all this friggin' movement. Sal chimes in, Q, do you really think this move will put the Ravens over the hump? I'm pumped, but I did not want to give up so much. Yeah, but you had to. Like you had to. You weren't bringing in Max Crosby for anything less than what they gave up. Like you can't sit here now and get all excited for Christmas morning and you see 1,000 gifts and then all of a sudden you unwrap them and you didn't get what you wanted. You can't have it both ways. Like you got a lot of gifts, be thankful, be grateful. They needed to clean up their defense. They could not get to the quarterback. They just couldn't. They were one of the worst teams when it came to statistically, not only pressure applied, and sacks. They were bad. They were bad. Does Crosby put them over the hump? It makes their defense more respectful, right? It does. Like, you got to fear this guy. You're going to double, you're going to triple, they're going to chip him. It should open up other opportunities. But it is and the Baltimore Ravens made this move because they know in their heart of hearts, they needed that franchise-altering move on defense, knowing exactly what's going on around the rest of the AFC. Okay? They knew that. King chimes in, Q, I wonder if Dable's sitting there saying, maybe we should sign players that got me fired. You guys can't have it both ways when it comes to these signings. You can't. You really can't. Overpaid all three players. They did. But, listen, they have to, right? They have to figure out a way to, they need offensive weapons. Tennessee did. They needed offensive weapons. What do we got here? Jose chimes in. Q, I'm a little disappointed that the Bucs didn't re-sign Evans, but hey, good for him. Yeah, listen, he's a veteran guy. He will provide insurance to Brock Purdy. Mike Evans, had a great career. He's a Hall of Fame wide receiver, right? He's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. He's coming off an injury, but sometimes you look at that fresh start, change of scenery. Maybe they can milk 2 years out of him, right? And he can be a productive wide receiver. That's all. That's what you're looking for. The 49ers, they just need to get through a season where they don't lose their best players, especially on the defensive side of the football. If they can actually get through 17 weeks where we're not talking about all pros getting hurt, they're going to be a favorite to come out of the NFC. They're just always injured. They're always, this team, I can't recall a franchise that has gone through so many injuries over the last several years. They lose everyone, but now you pair him up, right? Kittle, CMC, Evans, Pearsall, Jennings. You get that offensive line. You get Williams good, healthy. Here we go. They're going to be a good team. They'll be a playoff team, 100%. 100%. The problem is this, though. You got to stay healthy, man. You got to stay healthy. And they haven't been able to have a healthy unit on both sides of football for a while. I saw that. That's a ridiculous contract, man. I feel like every contract I'm reading is like, I can't believe they're paying this guy. But again, Jovan, what are we talking about? Defensive friggin' end, right? And I said this, tackles, defensive ends, right? Offensive tackles, shutdown corners, they get paid. They get paid. Even like a small deal for Robertson. It's a 2-year deal worth $16 million. I think he got $10 million guaranteed. So Washington understands they need bodies in those spots. They need bodies in there. Washington's going to retool. They're going to regroup. They are. And that, by the way, I think that's smart that they re-signed Marcus Mariota. You got a veteran quarterback and a mentor to Daniels. But they also know we got to compete. And how do we compete? With defense first and foremost. Look around the NFC East. I haven't even gotten to the Dallas Cowboys and just the interesting stuff coming out with Dak and the fiance and no wedding and all this other stuff. And, they're going to have to pay some of these players and they're going to have to pay Pickens. But look around the NFC East. The Washington Commanders, 2 years removed, right? 2 years removed from making the NFC Championship. Jaden Daniels goes down. They miss a golden opportunity. They revert back to bad football. They regress, and now they understand. Here are some of the areas that we were bad last season, right? We just could not get to the quarterback. How many times did we say that with these teams? We just didn't have that elite pass rusher. And you look around the NFL, the teams that are successful run the football, get very good quarterback play, and get to the quarterback. Washington last season, you're talking about getting to the quarterback consistently, right? Consistently. Martin had a nice year. Armstrong had a nice year, but we're talking about, again, Armstrong being your probably your best defensive um, uh, uh, um, uh, end. Miller kind of turned back the clock, and you're getting 9 sacks out of your linebacker. You needed to get it from the edges. And that's one of the reasons they made this move. And they only had 42 sacks last year. That's still not a lot by NFL standards. It just isn't, right? As long as he avoids the generators and stays healthy. I don't know, a lot of pocket meters down there in San Fran. All right. 427, quick timeout. We will get back to your comments. We'll break for 30. Don't forget, we're powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee, Three Brooks Bourbon. Get ready with tea. And Play It Against Sports on this Monday edition. Man Up Monday. I don't know. I don't have too much to man up on. We had a clean week last week. The only thing I'm man up on, maybe a take on the NBA with the Knicks. I guess, getting a little worried with Tatum coming back with the Boston Celtics. So, all right, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. We're about an hour in. We'll keep it rolling along on the other side. Good stuff with the NFL talk. Keep it coming. All right, a couple more minutes to play with on this Monday. My guess is Jennings Lee is probably your Commanders. Your Commanders need running back, tight end, edge rusher, center. I don't think Tunzel's under contract. Your Commanders have a long way to go. Why are they my Commanders? Why are they my Commanders? Because I had them going to the Super Bowl against my Denver Broncos. Worry about your Eagles, will you? Seriously, worry about your Eagles. Fish Fry chimes in. Q, I'm not liking this contract for Willis. Great handle. 3 years, 67 million, 45 million guaranteed. Now, per Spot Track, do you know what his projected value was? So 3 years, 67 million is about 20 and some change, 22.5 liberal arts math, 45 G's. Sign it, 45, you're on your way, brother. He had a projected market value of 10.6 million. That tells you two things. Either Miami really overpaid or there was going to be a market out there for Willis. And we went through these teams that needed a quarterback. So the Jets need a quarterback. Miami needed a quarterback. Pittsburgh needs a quarterback. Indianapolis with the goofy tag on Jones. Raiders are drafting Mendoza. So I gave you 3 teams. Atlanta, the Saints, and Arizona. So you're talking 6 teams. Is that really in high demand? I think that's a product of the fact that these teams, the other teams, have quarterbacks in place. That's what tells me. I would not have paid him that much. I wouldn't have. But it's not my check. It's not my money. Um, I think you got to be very careful when you fall in love with guys after a handful of games. Remember years ago, Scott Mitchell, handful of games and cashed in with Miami. So you're looking at 11 games with Green Bay, 11 games with Tennessee, 22 games. 22 games. Now, it's a little different in Green Bay. You have a franchise quarterback in Jordan Love. Willis came in, did a nice job when he was hurt. I don't know. Are they looking at Willis's game against Baltimore when he threw for close to 300 yards and he broke the bank in that regard? But listen, they had Tua. They overpaid Tua. They paid Tua for the one really good season that he played exceptional football. He did. He played really well. Like, we got to be fair. We can't take, you have a quarterback that throws for 4,600 yards, close to 30 touchdowns. That's a good season. And then he came back, and after that, he got hurt. And then he got hurt again, and then he got benched. So Miami is like, okay, we now have a guy that's familiar with Malik Willis, the Green Bay connection, obviously with Sullivan and obviously the new head coach. They were comfortable with it. He's going to be the starter. He's week one starter. Now you got to build around a little bit and you got to hope you get some return on the investment. You really do. Like I said, I get with these running backs and some of these quarterbacks that we're just not sure of the entire body of work. It concerns me a little bit. Saint Six chimes in. So you can take, I know I'm not even going to read the comment because it has to do with the running back position. At right now, I just don't see the Saints drafting a running back at 8 because of the move they just made. And as far as the Commanders, Salim chimes in, the edge rusher out of Miami, if he's there at 7, the Commanders take him. Now, I'm not sure where Reuben Bain Jr. lines up in the NFL, but he's a productive pass rusher, right? So now I can move you around, especially on third down, and I can be a little more disruptive. They need to fix their defense. They need to stack up on defense as Washington. They have to. So if you're looking right now with all these moves coming down, fresh set of eyes with these mock drafts, we know that Mendoza is going first. So we just clear the air with that. I believe the Jets go defense. I think Arizona is going to go defense. Tennessee is going to go defense. And the Giants, I wanted them to go wide receiver. I did. That's kind of where I wanted them to go. I like the kid Tate from Ohio State. And I don't know why I said Clemson, pardon me. I like the kid Tate from Ohio State. I understand the 40-40 time, and if he drops, he drops. Okay, then he's someone else's problem. But I feel as though everything I mentioned about Jackson Dart and keeping him upright, then you're probably going to go tackle position. I've just seen the Giants miss a lot on the offensive line over the years. Now, Andrew Thomas, when healthy, he's the best in football, but I can go and I can give you, the Neals, the Hernandezes, right? I mean, just horrible moves. They never know how to fix the offensive line. So by all these moves today, okay, all these moves today, we're going to see how these mock draft changes. Should I mark the tape where you pick the Commanders to run it back? I think it will be Rams or Bears in the early days of the NFL. I already told you, I think the Bears might be that sleeper team. The Bears are making moves right now that are showing you we're going to go all in and compete. And the Rams too. Seattle's still defending Super Bowl champs. So we're not going to dismiss the Seattle Seahawks. I'm not dismissing the Rams. The Rams, all their moves were predicated upon Matthew Stafford returning. And once you got the green light and you knew that Stafford was coming back, then, pretty much all bets are off. Indy 6, Q, I'm a little, as you would say, on trading Michael Pittman to the Steelers after signing Alex Pierce. So they know right now, right? You sign Pierce, that's a massive deal. His agents did a hell of a job. They drove up the price 4 years, 116. You trade Pittman to the Steelers. Um, he's going to get paid in Pittsburgh. He's probably looking at 19 to 20 million a year. So again, you know, he was selected by the Colts 2020. Obviously, they've got a running back. They're not going to pay Pittman Jr. So KC6 chimes in. Q, I'm not going to poo poo on this move, but I'm a little cautiously optimistic and concerned like you are. You're talking about running backs, and we know what happens in the NFL. Running back, the shelf life of a running back, 5, 6, 7 years. Um, I I said this in the beginning of the show, and no one has brought it to my attention just yet. I thought you guys would catch it. Let me see. I just want to see if I was even remotely close. Okay, here you go. So Larry Brown, I was right. Not that I was right, but I thought Larry Brown was a free agent. So Larry Brown was the Super Bowl MVP. He was a free agent and he signed, if you remember at the time, how about this deal? He signed a lucrative contract, 5 years, 12 million, 3 million guarantee with the Raiders in 96. In 1997, he was a backup, suspended 4 weeks, conduct detrimental. In 1998, he was waived. Wow. So he cashed in on being an MVP in the Super Bowl, right? You're talking about defensive back, quote, maybe that lockdown corner, okay? Becomes a free agent and then signs right away. Walker had a good year, very good run in the postseason. MVP cashes in with Kansas City, who was desperate for a running back. Very desperate. All right, final timeout. We'll come back on the other side. We'll wrap it up on a crazy Monday in the NFL. Keep it locked in a Monday edition of On Cue right here on SR 1029 FM, the game, Coastal Sports Digital Network, and part of the Odyssey app. Oh, by the way, let me remind you of my good friends over at Play It Again Sports. They are taking best bang for the buck right now. Cash on the spot for your baseball equipment, golf equipment, wedges, drivers, also putters, golf balls, baseball cleats, gloves, bats, balls. Stop in right now. Tell them you heard it right here on Q. Go see my guy Mark at the Deptford store, 1450 Clements Bridge Road. Quick timeout. We'll wrap it up. All right, excellent stuff with the comments. You guys are fantastic. Don't forget tomorrow, Lloyd Vance going to join us. Check out the show notes for your savings on Fresh Rosa Coffee, hashtag on Q. Also get in on the conversation as you guys always do on X and TikTok, Rich Q and a Mike. On social media, let me see, I'll squeeze in one or two more comments. Sarge again from Delaware chiming in. Q, I'm all in Mendoza, though. I'm a little concerned with these reports coming out with Brady and Crosby. You guys can believe what is reported. Ultimately, um, there is a report that Brady, did not want to trade Max Crosby. So that's the report. And also, there's a report that Brady, there was no way Crosby was getting traded to the Patriots. I kind of like this dickhead Tom Brady because he's a minority owner of the Raiders. I like this. All right. I feel though he's really starting to kind of, he wants to kind of stick it to the Patriots. Remember, basically saying, I'm not going to make a pick, right? So he's tweaking them a little bit. Can you imagine if the Pats would have got Crosby? I mean, great defense that got better. All right, tomorrow, Lloyd Vance. Later on in the week, a little more NBA, Jonathan Marshall, Steve Gardner. We're going to finally track him down, talk some baseball with Major League Baseball opening day right around the corner. We'll give you some win totals with these divisions. We'll talk a little more about the AL East and the NL East. You guys keep it locked in manana. Don't forget, check out the notifications, like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel at RichQ on Q on X and IG. We're on Kicks, Rumble, Millions platform, also on the YouTube channel, and download the Odyssey app, SR 1029 FM, the game. You guys have a wonderful Sports Monday. Enjoy your Monday evening. We will be back in the saddle mañana. Check out the show notifications as well for the time we'll fire off. Until then, I'm Rich Quinones. Thanks for joining me for this Monday edition of On Cue. Be safe, be sound. Hasta luego, buen día.